I'm joined now by photographer Ani Weitzel. Ani, thank you for being here. I can't wait to get into your current work, but before that, I want to talk about how you got into photography. What was it that made you initially pick up the camera?
I kind of always had that knack for it as I was growing up. My mom tells me I'd run around with all the cameras and everything. But the first time I really remember starting photography was at a track meet my junior year of high school. And one of the girls that I knew, she had to go run in her race, but she was in yearbook. So I told her I would take the camera, see if I could get any photos while she was running. And that was when I really started, I think.
And you knew at that point that you liked it, but did you feel like you were good at it? Did it feel like it came naturally to you?
I felt like the randomness of the event kind of helped me because it wasn't something I needed to pose people for. So I feel like that really brought it to fruition, I think,
Yeah.
of like, okay, maybe this can be a fun creative outlet. And then my senior year, I had done a kind of like an internship thing with the school's public relations guy. And I was like, okay, this could be cool. And so he had me go into like all of the school events and taking photos. And I think that was really where it got started, of like kind of like a photo documentary style thing.
Yeah.
And one of my friends would do like the written articles for it. So yeah, I feel like that was kind of the beginning of it, but I did end up going to college after that for computer science and then like rediscovering it in college. I went to Huntington University, and so they were really helpful about doing this custom major program that they have.
Nice.
And so I was able to combine like my computer science and like web design and business and public relations and graphic design. And so all of that is how I ended up getting my bachelor's degree, just combining that. And I had like the best professor who I had taken, I took intro to art, which you like have to take. And Dr. Barb Michael, everyone go to Huntington University and meet her because I'm serious. She called me my sophomore year when I had taken that class and said, you're gonna be an art teacher. I think you're gonna be really good at it. And I was like, I'm not teaching ever. And now I teach high school graphic design. And I was like, I called her and I was like, I'm scared. Because why did you like
How
know
did
that?
you know?
Yeah.
What was her answer? What did she see in you that allowed her to look into your future?
I think I wasn't even good at that class. That's what gets me. And she knows that too. But I think I just sat in the front and I think I had like the like energized personality maybe.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know, I can work with the kids really well because I think they can relate to me, and it's just a great opportunity for me to give back in that way, you know?
Yeah.
But I always knew corporate graphic design wasn't really where I wanted to go because I like having a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like, I think she knew that about me and then saw that, you know, I think you need to interact with like high schoolers. Maybe because I was acting like one. Who knows, honestly? I don't know.
So when I look at your photos, how much of what I'm seeing is manipulated in some way through Photoshop or whatever the case may be?
I would say probably only my concert photos, and that's just through like color grading and photo editing them. Like everything else is pretty much straight out of the camera unless I'm like giving it a warmer tone.
Yeah.
I try to keep them as natural as possible so it's something people are actually could see in their daily life and then kind of reflect and be like, oh, that's something Ani took a photo of, you know?
Yeah. Okay, I wanted to talk about that because it feels to me like you have such a clear aesthetic. And I think it goes back to that editorial beginning.
Yeah.
I love that you have photos. There's one of someone outside a closed Burger King. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like you see the person, but it tells you so much more, which is really cool. So is that what you're striving for with your aesthetic?
I like drive my car around a lot to find locations. And I was kind of like, I might be in a rut right now, but I'm gonna drive around, see what I can find, see what's pretty, and then capture like really those mundane moments, you know, like I really feel like I look for lighting first, and if it's got good lighting, I know anything can be pretty with good lighting, honestly.
Yeah.
it was my roommate that I had taken a photo of, and she was the one that wanted to do a photo shoot at Burger King. And I was like, we'll make it work.
Yeah.
And so it ended up being really fun. And just trying like random spots, I think that you wouldn't think would work, but kind of the contrast between like someone looking really nice and then, you know, a closed Burger King,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about it. That never would have occurred to me, but there's something about it that just makes it really cool. I loved a lot of the senior portrait work that you do too, because I mean, people laugh. It's a joke now about, you know, the posed senior pictures, and that's not how yours look. There's something about them that now, if I see one that you've taken, I'll say, "Oh, that's an Ani photo." Is that what you're going for, or has it just sort of naturally evolved that way?
I think it kind of just naturally evolved that way. I don't really tend to think a lot about poses. I actually feel like that's kind of what I struggle most with. Is like if it's not organically happening, I'm not always the first one to be like, here's how I'm gonna frame it, here's how I'm gonna think about it. Composition comes easily, I think, for me, just, you know, with how I look at the scene, and then kind of just tell them to do what they need to do. And then just capturing, you know, like I think my ideal situation would be like someone else is taking their photos, they don't know I'm there, and I'm just capturing that alongside them, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of like capturing what they might be missing, you know? So I think that goes into it.
That's interesting because you say in your social media that you just love capturing moments, like a moment in time.
Yeah.
So do you feel like that's how you're looking at the world? That you are just constantly like clicking and freezing moments?
Yeah, pretty much. I would say so because, yeah, I just have this like nostalgic feeling of I'm gonna miss my youth, you know? And so I'm like, if I can capture it, even if it's just what I had for breakfast with my mom at a diner, like I'm gonna remember it now, and it's pretty to me, you know?
Yeah.
It's like someone else is able to see it through my eyes. Like I see this biscuits and gravy meal as very cinematic, very like artsy, and now like I can create that through a photo. Someone else can see what I saw, you know?
Yeah. What a cool, I've never thought of it that way, but what a cool way to walk through the world. That like this biscuits and gravy, I don't give it enough time before I dive in.
Yeah,
so,
that's fair.
So to look at it and see the beauty in it and then want to share that with other people.
Yeah.
So cool. How do you feel like you have evolved as an artist from that junior in high school and to now where it's your business?
Yeah. I would say it's been a tough journey because, you know, a lot of like photography work is you can't really do it unless you pay the bills. And so it's like, how do I make this into something that can sustain me? And so I feel like that's tough. Luckily, I work in a high school now. I'm going to meet a ton of seniors that I'll be able to take photos of.
Yeah.
But I think like as I've grown, I've realized, you know, I have to do it for me. And I can't just do what other people want. And if they don't like my style, they could just go to someone else. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of photographers recently have come to that realization is like, you saw my website, you know what work I'm going to put out. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but I can't change my style, you know?
Yeah.
And so just trying to be authentic through it has been like really important.
Hearing you say that, how much do you focus on the process versus the product? Do you feel like the process is more important to you? Or because it is your business, do you have to focus more on the product?
Yeah, it's a weird balance.
Yeah.
Because I think even like, for example, a senior, like if they didn't enjoy like that like hour we're taking photos, but they like the photos, it's still kind of like, okay, but I don't know if I really care anymore, you know?
Yeah.
So in all of it, I think it is all about the process,
Yeah.
for sure.
Knowing how important your professor was in your education, but then kind of in your whole trajectory, how does that change the kind of teacher you are? Are you trying to bring that to your students?
Definitely so, because I know a lot of them take it as their like mandatory art credits.
Yeah.
And so I think when they see me excited about it, they're able to get excited about it themselves, you know, just talking to them about real world usage is really important.
Yeah.
And so definitely them seeing me try and grow as an artist, you know, even if I'm just still a struggling artist or whatever the case may be, I think just seeing that this is an option for me is really important, and just enjoying it. Like, not, I think that I found the less I think about it and like overthink it, the better it's like is overall.
Yeah.
It gives them the opportunity to also just enjoy it and think of it as a good memory, even if they didn't enjoy like doing all the projects, you know?
Yeah. Your work is so beautiful, but I'm also so drawn to the fact that you are showing young people how a creative outlet, regardless of what the business looks like, having that creative outlet is so important and so special.
Definitely.
So the work you do is important and incredible. So thank you for that, and thank you for taking the time to sit down with me.
Of course, of course. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it a lot. It's really fun. It's really cool.
For more information, find Ani Weitzel Photography on Instagram.
Arts in Focus on PBS Fort Wayne is funded in part by the Community Foundation of Greater Fort Wayne,